welcome to Season 4 of Cool Breeze Over the Mountains, a podcast where we chronologically step through and discuss each film starring Keanu Reeves. My name is Andrew Gormley, and I am one of your hosts. I am joined on this episode by my co-host, and her name is Whitney Nelson.
Okay. Yes.
I didn't grab a thing from this.
No, I was going to say, this is a very different intro than I'm used to. You've caught me unprepared.
Right. Sometimes I don't pull quotes. Sometimes it's because the movie doesn't have it. Sometimes it's because it's tough to get something from a film that it doesn't want to give you a lot. I digress. Whitney,
yes.
Happy to have you here, as
Thank
always.
you. Happy to be here.
Always.
Happy to have you here, Andrew.
I do what I can. I don't know if you saw, I'm trying to come up with some names here for some things because I was pricing out domain names for everything, and I don't know if this might be exclusively a me problem, but
it is
January,
not exclusively a you problem. It's
Okay,
a problem for almost every person I know because I have such a large circle of podcast friends, and all of us are bigger than our own britches and have more than one podcast. So this idea of multiple streams of revenue going out thing it is not just a you problem.
Right. January is a tough month for me just for domains alone. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we got some big projects coming up. So I got to try to centralize these however we can, but we'll get there. This is one of 10 that we're ramping down here. So let's give it all we got, even if this isn't the greatest kickoff.
It's certainly not an upper of a kickoff, and I do want to say before we even get to the basics and whatever, I do want to have a content warning. There is this movie is about disordered eating and body image, and we are going to talk a lot about disordered eating and body image because I have, as per usual, a lot of thoughts and feelings. And so if that is something that is potentially triggering to you, I recommend you skipping this episode of both the podcast and the movie, because that's basically all we're going to be talking about. So yeah. It may be better for your health to take a pass on this one. If not, then we can get started.
All right. And as we always do, let's get some housekeeping out of the way, some emails and tweets. As always, up top, I want to mention you can find the website at coolbreezepod.com. Email us coolbreezepod@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at coolbreezepod. Friend of the show, Zoe P, wrote in with some cool stuff, so I'm going to read that. She said the following. The Reckoning was fun to listen to. I've been trying to compile my ranking for weeks now, and I can't do it. I've got 30 go-to Keanu films.
Bless your heart, Zoe. That's a lot of go-to Keanu films.
Right. Mood depending, including Street Kings, Private Idaho, Permanent Record, The Replacements. It's too hard, so kudos to you all who have managed to do it. She also asks if we were wondering, she was wondering if we're going to be covering Swedish Dicks. It's a show that Keanu features quite significantly in, and it's Peter Stormare's brainchild, and it's apparently
also it's a doozy.
Right. So I have to look into that to see. I don't know if you would be game to do something like that, Whitney. I feel like that would probably maybe a season instead of per episode.
Yeah, I think watching the season and then giving our overall thoughts for the season is definitely something that I would do. I don't think we necessarily need an episode of the podcast per episode of the show.
Yeah.
But I'm down to recap anything that he's in. We definitely focused on movies, and we specifically focused, we've left out several made-for-TV movies as well. So we've kind of skipped television as a whole, but I'm totally down to, do a bonus episode or to do one episode on the series or, that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely in to cover it, especially because I do like Peter Stormare a lot, as we talked about in the last episode.
Absolutely. Frequent collaborator. So, and then so weird, Jody brings it up in the chat, is literally the next line of Zoe's email. Also, a little bonus on the Squarespace ads, the ads that launched Keanu 1,000 Keanu gifts. Those ads are hilarious.
So I remember them being a thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember the ads themselves. And now, granted, we've talked about this before. I have a memory like Swiss cheese. I can't remember what I ate for dinner an hour ago. So, like, this is not an uncommon problem for me, but it is something where I was like, I can't actually remember why, like, what happens in those ads. I do remember that he was in them.
Yeah, they're very over the top, but it is grounded in the fact that it's him making a Squarespace site for Arch Motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool. I mean, we did the music video.
We did the dual music video, so we might as well.
Yeah, why not? It could be a cool bonus episode, even if it's only 10 minutes. They are very funny.
Basically, nothing is off limits, especially if you guys are into hearing about it.
Yeah,
I'm
into it.
It may be a short episode, but it could be an episode.
Sure, absolutely. Zoe then continues, these are part of the Keanu-sans, where Keanu became more than just a movie star and infiltrated society's consciousness with his amazingness and are worthy of your time, I think. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Zoe. But that's not where it stops with Zoe. She followed up.
Zoe has given us a true gem.
It's so good. She follows up with an email where her mom ranked her favorite Keanu films. And this list is unbelievable. She said her mom did this in about 5 minutes. So
I'm not totally separate from Zoe's mom. So make of that what you will.
All right.
But here's Zoe's mom's list.
Yeah. The list, it's numbered 7, but it's a little bit, you'll see. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is the John Wick trilogy. That is number 1. So I guess eventually it'll be the John Wick quadrilogy, I guess. She insists on watching them all together, but there has to be enough wine in the house for this task.
That sounds like a really good weekend.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Like a lot of wine and a lot of John Wick, and I am pretty into that idea. I think your mom and I could hang out, Zoe.
There you go. Number 2 is A Walk in the Clouds, which is great. Lovely film. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, not Bogus Journey, which fully agree.
Yes, 100%.
Number 4 is The Devil's Advocate. And the reasoning behind this is that she likes...
The quote that goes along with The Devil's Advocate is my favorite part of this list.
Yeah, she likes the Florida stud thing quote, Keanu has going on.
Florida stud thing. So... That's like the mommest thing anyone's ever said about The Devil's Advocate. I just have to say.
Oh my gosh. Number 5 is The Matrix, not 2 and 3, just The Matrix, singular.
Mm-hmm. Same.
6 is 47 Ronin. Okay. And rounding out the list at number 7, Toy Story 4. So there you go. Duke Kaboom. Coming up on that one quick. Oh my gosh. And then, so thank you, Zoe. That's incredible. Tell your mom, have her listen to this. We
love you, Zoe.
We love her. Yeah. She's the best. So, and a great list. What a great list. Really, truly.
A really great list. I may not agree with every part of it, but I agree with a lot of parts of it, and I agree with them very strongly.
Right. Some of the reasonings are undeniable. So, even if you don't,
Even if Devil's Advocate is nowhere close to my top 10, I cannot argue with the logic of the Florida stud thing.
And then yesterday we had a listener tweet at us, and I thought this was really, really cool. So Claire Marinello, she sent us out of the blue. It was late too. I was up late, and this was 1 a.m, and I'm like, oh, I got a tweet. What is it? She wrote, I started listening to your show in April as background entertainment while I sewed homemade masks with cloth cut from former bed sheets and quilts. I just finished your May 7 episode and my 100th mask. Couldn't have done it without you. So, oh my gosh.
We are glad to be your company while you sew 100 masks.
Yes, that's
quite a feat.
While we sit around and shoot the shit about Keanu, you do the actual work.
We're
is what
dorking around on the internet.
Right.
You're keeping people safe.
So thank you, Claire. That was great to hear, as always. So if you're watching live on Periscope or Twitch, Jody, I see you. Zoe, I see you. I'm pretty sure.
And you are individual and unique people with your own characteristics.
Right. You have to have noticed how much of a pause I put between your names now. It's so deliberate. I can't help it. Feel free to chime in with your 2 cents along the way. We'll read your comments aloud. Some of you have written in beforehand, so we'll definitely get to that in a bit. And yeah, just hang out. Let's be excellent. Yeah. And then finally, as always, please share the show with your friends, rate and review us on iTunes, brings more folks into the fray. That'll get people on board here for when we eventually transition over into Kurt. So hopefully y'all will just follow right over with us. That would be great. Idea.
Totally get it if you don't, because you're a diehard Keanu fan, but we are going to keep making this as long as Keanu keeps making stuff. So whether we die first or he dies first, we're doing it until one of us dies. So
right. That's the final word on it.
We may slow down, but we aren't going to stop. But we would love all of you wholeheartedly to follow us to Kurt, because I think while I may not have the same feelings for Kurt that I do for Keanu, I think I may develop those feelings for Kurt over the course of the next series, because we have a wild ride to go on.
Absolutely. I think that's the fun of it right there. That's really the fun of it. All right. So that's all the housekeeping. That's all that stuff. It's only 2 of us, so I will also handle the synopsis, if that's okay. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. I want to make sure.
Yes,
I'm talking a lot.
It. Zoe says no one's allowed to die on either end. So I guess we're doing this podcast eternally, forever, because Keanu can't die and neither can we.
That's okay. Generally, when you have to do something eternally, it is often considered in the punishment column. This is not that at all. This is like, why wouldn't I do this?
I'm happy to. As long as we can keep doing it, I am delighted to keep doing it. So
Absolutely.
So tell us what we're talking about today, Andrew.
Oh, okay. So today we are talking about the film To the Bone. And I pulled the plot synopsis from Rotten Tomatoes here, and it says, based on the real-life experiences of the writer-director, To the Bone shares the story of 20-year-old Ellen and her battle with anorexia. Ellen enters a group home run by an unconventional doctor where she and the other residents go on a sometimes funny, sometimes harrowing journey, navigating their addictions and finding the path to choosing life. Which is a lot in a synopsis. That's a lot So this was written and directed by Marti Noxon. That's Noxon. Who's worked primarily as a producer on television shows you've definitely watched. So on this this is like an abridged list, but we have Angel, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Grey's Anatomy, Mad Men, Code Black, and most recently on HBO's Sharp Objects. Yeah. So I guarantee you've seen one of those shows.
I mean,
many of them probably.
This will come as a surprise to nobody, but I am a dyed-in-the-wool Buffy and Angel fan.
There you go.
And so I stan and have stanned Marti Noxon for quite some time, which I think maybe contributed to my feelings about this movie, both positively and negatively.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I've seen a little bit of everything.
Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, she's the female newscaster.
Oh, really? That's her?
Yeah.
Nice.
If you want to know what Marti Noxon looks like, she's the female newscaster in like 0.5 seconds of Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
I'll have to revisit that. It's been a bit. Damn writer's strike. It gave us gold, though. It gave us gold. So, co-starring alongside Keanu is Rebecca Kennedy, Lily Collins, Dana L. Wilson, Zaya Colon, Joanna Sanchez, and Liana Liberato. So, Whitney, I'm very curious about this. What did the critics, what did the people have to say about this movie?
All right. So on Rotten Tomatoes, we have a 71% critical score and a 64% audience score. both of which are higher than I would have assumed, to be honest. We have a critic quote from April Wolf of The Village Voice, who says, "Though To the Bone isn't quite enjoyable to watch, it's acted well and is, in its depiction of this all too pervasive disorder, essential." And then we have a user quote from Sharuk E on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe on Rotten Tomatoes, yeah. Who says, "Anorexia is a hard subject to talk about, just like any mental illness, or any illness for that matter. I think it's because people always expect life to be perfect. Perfection in life, sadly, doesn't exist. However, perfection does exist in the directing and production and acting of this movie. This might be one of the best movies made addressing illnesses in general." Which is strong words, Sharuk.
Yeah.
We will go on to discuss some listener thoughts. Zoe says, "I like this film, but it's not easy to watch. Of course, it's a difficult subject to tackle as it's vast, and a 90-minute film won't even scratch the surface of the whys and wherefores. But this film feels true to me. Keanu did well, a very natural performance as a doctor just telling the harsh truths of the situation. The scene with Keanu examining the bruising down Lily Collins' back was especially tough to see. Also, the dancing in the rain scene was uplifting for me, as well as the characters. Also loved the sister relationship too, that felt right. This won't be a film that I will watch very often, but it is a recommend." And then Melissa Chonka says, "This movie was a big old trigger for me. I had an eating disorder in my college years and still do to an extent. I did appreciate how it felt open and honest. I thought Keanu did a fine job as a doctor. He seemed really comfortable in the role. I loved the stepmom twice a week like clockwork. I did not like Luke. Ugh, that kid just annoyed me." We'll talk about Luke. Don't worry, Melissa. We will talk about Luke. "I would give it a solid C+. Not sure if I would recommend it given the subject matter, but overall I thought it was good." And then listener Daniel Spencer said, "I hated every second of this movie. Maybe it's because I was in the wrong headspace for it, but it felt very much like a hollow attempt at addressing a serious issue. Also, the characters of Luke and Susan seem to be painted as not shitty at the end when they were both really shitty characters, in my opinion. I feel like it played into easy tropes. For instance, bad things happen to a woman just for emotional reaction, as Megan's tragic story didn't seem to push any of the narrative along. Also, it kind of felt like a love saves the girl story where this hallucination of a boy convinces her she's dazzling, so she should be rid of her serious mental illness. A boy who literally told her that he was putting all of his eggs in her basket and completely relying on her emotionally without seeming to give anything back." Yeah. So those are just a handful of reviews on this movie. Andrew.
I go first?
Yeah, you go first in this one.
Oh, no. So let me first say, I have no experience with this, really, like in terms of an eating disorder or anything like that, right? And I don't want to, please let me know if I'm, essentially, I don't want to diminish anybody's experience, right? Including the writer-director of this, who apparently based it off of her, I mean, again, air quotes, right? Based it off of
her own
real life
experiences. Yeah, for sure.
So, given that, I didn't really care for this movie, right? I thought it was difficult to watch because it is a very real thing, right? It is when, I don't know what Lily Collins, I guess that was her. I don't know, like it was to see the ribs and the back bruising, as I believe Zoe had mentioned and everything like that. Makeup and potentially special effects in this movie were very, very affecting. Like
there was
like, wow,
little to no special effects in this movie.
Wow,
just so you know,
holy
that
shit.
makes it even worse. Trust me, we're going to talk about that a lot in just a second when it's my turn.
Okay, yeah. So then, God, I really would only want to talk about this from like mostly like a technical point of view then. And I guess Keanu, right? So for me,
so like it was hard to watch, but were you engaged? That's an important question. Because we've seen hard to watch movies that I could not stay tuned into. So this being hard to watch because of the subject matter and because some of the things that you see and whatever, is it still a story that kept your attention?
It did. And that's because I was hoping to understand, right? And I don't know if it gave me any more insight into what the source of an eating disorder is or potential solutions for it. Like to have this idea of a doctor whose treatments are unconventional, right? And he's just a guy who shoots you straight, you know? I guess that works. But it felt like it was in stark contrast to what I was seeing there. Where like these people are they are in pain, right? They don't want to. That all came across very clearly in the acting and the writing to me. Is like, yikes, that is a prison in your own mind, right? And I just don't know if this unconventional treatment of a guy telling you like there is no perfect and you're never going to be safe and there's no better time to start than now is an effective way to treat a mental illness. I don't see that. That didn't come through with me, for me at least. Maybe it is. I don't know. But for me, it felt like very pandery. That's when it felt most like a movie. Like when Keanu was giving a rousing monologue type situation to these people. I mean, it's like technically competently shot, right? And I was not looking away for better or worse. Like I was not like checking my phone. I was like tuned in to the film. But overall, I don't think I would ever watch it again. I don't think I would. I don't know if there's a better version of this story, if you want to call it that, or like something that tackles this subject matter more appropriately. I feel like in my gut, there has to be, right? And whether that's another narrative film or a documentary or some mixture of the two, this just did not feel to me to be an accurate portrayal of treatment. The disease, absolutely. Mental illness, potentially as well. But again, this is coming from my very kind of privileged and narrow perspective on this exact topic. So that's why I'm like tiptoeing. I don't want to like, like I don't really know anything. So I can't,
that's
I don't want to.
Fair. That's like a fine, not knowing anything is a fine perspective to bring into this. I definitely feel as someone who has an inside understanding of some of this stuff, I have very different feelings, but also it has to appeal to the average person to be a good movie. Like it has to engage you in some way to work outside of, this can't just be a movie for people who struggle with disordered eating and body image. This has to be a movie that anyone can watch and get something out of. So I think it's totally fair, whatever your thoughts are, from an outsider's perspective, because that's why people make movies, is for outsiders to see them, you know?
Yeah. I will say I agreed pretty strongly with Dan and I guess Melissa about the character of Luke. So as a character, as someone who is also going through this, an eating disorder or mental illness as well, I liked him. Right. But this relationship that he began to form with Lily Collins' character, that felt like it would lead to not great results. And I don't know if it's that situation where it's good to have someone going through it as support and someone who understands, but it felt more like potentially like a crutch situation. So again, as someone speaking basically out of his ass about the entire thing, I can only speak to how it like made me feel, not necessarily like whether that is good or bad. So that's really what I have to say. It's not much. Like, as a film, a narrative with a beginning, middle, and end, shot, edited, all perfectly well done. The subject matter is going to vary, I think, person to person wildly on how you absorb this kind of thing. So that's my very diplomatic tiptoe through the tulips
overly
answer.
Diplomatic, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you couched a lot of stuff, but I also feel like totally fair what you have to say. So it's time for Whitney's Thoughts and Feelings Corner, I guess. So I have a history of disordered eating and body image stuff. I, as a teenager, struggled with it a lot. A lot of people didn't even notice, which is actually one of my pet peeves of this movie, is everyone in this movie who is anorexic looks like, and this is kind of brought up in the whole Tumblr thing, but they all look like billboards for pro-anorexia, which is an online movement of people who post images of anorexia and very unhealthy body images as thinspiration. This movie looks like thinspiration. I don't necessarily think that it does support eating disorders at all. There was a lot of stuff that when this movie came out, a lot of people saying, don't watch it, it's like a how-to guide for anorexia. Don't let your kids watch it because it's a how-to guide for anorexia. And what I can tell you right now is that as someone who had anorexia and at one point weighed literally half of what I weigh now, anyone who's anorexic already knows what's in this movie. This is not a how-to guide. No one is coming into this who's experienced it with, no one's getting new information out of this. It might be new information for people who have no experience with disordered eating in any way. But I feel like this is very, very glossy. Trite is a very good word to describe this. I love a good coming of age movie. And I have always been drawn to, because of a myriad of mental disorders and illnesses, I have always been drawn to stories about mental illnesses and disorders. So this should be right in my wheelhouse, but I feel like this is a very this is like, to me, it's like watching Girl Interrupted now, where Girl Interrupted was initially written in the 70s or 80s and then made into a movie in the mid to late 90s. And it has an element of truth to it that feels very real to people who've gone through anything like that, but also does not in any way talk about anything that's going on in any of the language that we would use now. And the moral of the story is also very against what any counselor would recommend now. The biggest problem with this movie is the idea that you need to hit rock bottom in order to effectively be treated. Yeah. That's the only thing in this movie that I think is dangerous. I do think this movie is triggering. I think watching people count the calories and talk about the tricks and run up and down the stairs to burn off calories and that sort of stuff is triggering if you are someone who has suffered or continues to work through issues with disordered eating. But I think that all of the language of it comes from Marti Noxon 30 years ago and not how we would talk at all in any way about disordered eating now. So to me, there's a lot of generalizations. The whole broken home, your family's a mess thing is such a stereotype for mental illness in general, but also specifically for disordered eating, that like it's a way to control the world around you. Every stereotype and trope about anorexia and bulimia is showcased in this movie very prominently. And I think that that's harmful because there is no one way that anyone has disordered eating. Like, No background is the same. No cause is the same. Families don't cause disordered eating any more than families cause mental illness. Like, are there contributing factors? Yes. But are there factors way outside of your family? Absolutely. I think that this looks like a 30 years ago definition of eating disorders in a now era. So to me, a lot of stuff is glossed over. A lot of stuff is generalized. There is a boy in the clinic who has an eating disorder, and it's nice to see someone male being portrayed as having an eating disorder, because there's a heck of a large amount of the population of people with eating disorders are men, and it's never ever talked about. There is one person of color in the very beginning, in the first inpatient program that she's in, and there's one person of color in the home at the end, the more like avant-garde treatment home. But other than one Latinx person and one black person, there's no other people of color. So I feel like that is one of the things where it's overly generalized. In a house full of mostly people who are anorexic, because our main character is anorexic, there's one, maybe two people with bulimia, and one person who binge eats, and the binge eater only eats peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon, which is made me really upset, and of course is portrayed as a larger person. The majority of people who struggle with eating disorders are not skinny. The majority of people are average weight or above that struggle with disordered eating. So I do feel like this whole portrayal of people who are skin and bones, it's not untrue, because once you get to that point where you're literally about to die and they have to force feed you through a tube, you do get that small. But the majority of people that suffer with this illness are not that small, and there's a very stereotypical young white pretty girl who has this problem with most of the cast in this movie that I take issue with. I also think that Marti Noxon specifically talked about, one thing that I remember from the press beforehand was talking about how isolating that the illnesses are, how isolating you become. And she wanted to depict that in this movie. And I feel like she did the exact opposite. I feel like the amount of loving and concerned support she had from all of her family, and the how easily she made friends in a treatment center, all of that kind of says the opposite to me of how hard it is and how isolating it can be to have this illness. I feel like she's a pretty social person for a person like going through anorexia and all these inpatient treatments. She also has the money to go to several inpatient treatments. She's in house number 4. And so there's definitely a crazy amount of privilege to this unorthodox treatment facility and whatever, and how she's dealt with it all. I have a huge problem with Luke in this movie. Not because I think it's an unfair portrayal. I think that everybody that has been involved in this movie in some way, or who has experienced something like this, probably has met someone like him. But I think that he is portrayed as, like Dan said, he's portrayed as a nice guy or a good character. And literally nothing he does shows that he has any understanding of consent or boundaries or really caring about what other people want at all. He makes a joke about women being just a bunch of holes to fuck, saying, like, I'm better than that, but that's the way that he words the joke. And then he immediately goes in to make out with her without consent and gets pissed off when she's like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. He gets mad and walks away. In addition to, I am pinning all of my hopes and dreams and recovery on you because ballet has fallen through for me. So you're the only thing that's good in my life now, and you have to make it worth it, essentially. Huge problems all around with him. I don't really think that there's anything redeeming, and I think the fact that he is, A, the only male on the horizon, and B, she does fall for him a bit, gives it the movie this tinge of relationships can make you whole and save you from even, rock bottom.
Yeah.
It's not the primary focus of this movie, but it is. There's enough of it undercurrenting the whole story that I feel like it's too much in the spotlight. I think that there should be a lot more focus of doing it for yourself than doing it for somebody else. Particularly when they're kind of a shitty person who doesn't respect consent or boundaries. I also have a huge issue with the fact that the main actress has suffered from anorexia for a lot of her life and had to lose weight for this role. She specifically had talked about at the time how she had anorexia, and that's part of why she wanted to be in this movie, and she had a story to tell. But they brought in a nutritionist to get an already thin actress down to an unhealthy weight. And she was taking supplements, and there was a nutritionist there, and there was whatever, and she was like, I never missed a day of work, I never slept through anything, I never, but making a person who has gone through this very thing that you're talking about carefully monitor every single thing that they consume and lose weight to an unhealthy level for a role about fighting that illness makes me very angry. Specifically because there was not special effects. She was that thin.
Yikes.
She, along with people paid to help her, made herself that thin for the movie when that's something that she's fought against through a significant portion of her life. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they do that feels very accurate. I don't want to portray an entirely negative view of this movie because I do feel like as someone who's dealt with disordered eating, there's so much that rings true that it is clearly a story being told by people who feel the story deeply. I just feel like it's like a Disneyland version of anorexia, and it is not a honest portrayal of treatment or of what deserves treatment. I think that, again, so horribly appalling that for this character in particular, the only way to get better is to hit rock bottom. Because historically, and statistically, the earlier that you start actively fighting eating disorders, the more likely it is to recover from them. No doctor in the world is going to say she has to hit bottom and decide to die and then not die before she can be saved. That's the thing that makes this movie a no-go for me. In the end, there's a lot of stuff that rings true. I feel like there's some stuff that's very fun. I do love a coming-of-age movie, so the stuff like the rain art installation and the, some of the jokes and the sarcasm and being a quirky 20-something and whatever, I enjoyed. But I think overall, it just can't play for me because the main moral of the story of this person needing to find rock bottom before they deserve treatment is incredibly harmful to anyone who needs treatment and now feels like they don't deserve getting it because they're not at rock bottom, because they're functional, because no one's noticed yet. It's so harmful. I think Keanu was fine in this. I don't think he did a bad job. I think he was charismatic and charming and handsome, but he's charismatic and charming and handsome. I don't think that this role was anything specifically that called out to me as a Keanu role. The score is great. I love the soundtrack. But that's it. I think that the rest of it, and the acting and the casting in general is very well done. I totally agree with, I think it was Zoe who said that the sister relationship felt very real because it did feel very real. And I think that it was the most grounding part of this movie. But I think too much of it was just shiny and pretty and white and rich and is a person with more family than the average person supporting them and trying to get them help and trying to get them better, which makes somebody who has no help and no support feel even worse about themselves. I think that there needs to be less of a pretty rich white girl with all of the support of her family narrative for this to ring as true as they wanted it to.
I want to float something out here to see if what your thoughts would be if it was approached this way. So this is a Netflix movie, right? Produced by, the studio is Netflix, right? And they have how would you put this? A proclivity, it seems, to make movies by committee, right? Like the original stuff that Netflix puts out is often very good. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes it is also very derivative, right? Mm-hmm. Like Ozark. I love Ozark, right? But to tell me that was not based off of the exact template of Breaking Bad and 3 other shows that I watch and then just rolled into one, right? So I'm wondering if Netflix approached this, and this may be where I would have maybe been able to connect with a little bit more, because when you're saying the things like, I feel like I noticed that it was very rich and very white, and I for whatever reason, I didn't verbalize that. If this was like a mini series, right? Maybe like, I don't know, 6 episodes, for instance, and that being for this focused on the 6 individual people that were there and all of their stories. I feel like that might have worked a little bit better for me, because that supporting cast, for the little bit that they were given, were very effective to me.
They were. I definitely think there was some strong character stuff there. And I think it is important to see a man with an eating disorder. I think it is important to see big girls with eating disorders. I do think it's important to see people of color with eating disorders. I think that the character who didn't think she could get pregnant and then did, and then was trying to, I totally agree with Dan in that was a horrifying subplot for it to not really push anything anywhere or mean anything to the main character. I do think that it was a very interesting and realistic portrayal of a type of eating disorder and a type of way of handling an eating disorder. And I think that a more nuanced depiction as a miniseries would definitely have helped this a lot. I still think having Marti Noxon talk about her 30 years ago eating disorder, but making it now. There's stuff in here like the joke about not being on trend enough to be a cutter.
Right.
That plays as someone who had an eating disorder 30 years ago and thinks that they're not on trend enough to be a cutter. Like that is not a now response, and it is not a 20-year-old's response. That is a Marti Noxon thinking that cutters think they're cool response. So I definitely think that it still would have been glossed over in a certain way, even as a miniseries, but I do think seeing those character stories more in depth would have helped a lot. Would have helped humanize it and shown more of the spectrum of eating disorders.
Yeah. That is the one thing that to me is a little cloudy at the end of this. Like, how much time has actually elapsed here? Like, I mean, it could be that I was not paying attention to that fact, but I don't know.
They don't elaborate. She has to go in for a minimum of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really explicitly talk about how long she was there. I don't think she was there very long.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot for 90 minutes, right? So I thought that you did a much better job elaborating and elucidating on and making well-formed points about this film. So listen to Whitney. Don't listen to me about this. I don't know if I'm looking at our notes here. I don't know if there's anything else specifically.
I think that's all the stuff that I had to say. I feel like I might even be missing stuff because I had a lot to say, but I think I've covered most of it.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. And please, if this has to come after the fact, let me know. Can you think of any movies off the top of your head that deal with not necessarily an eating disorder, but any kind of mental illness in a
Girl
more sophisticated?
Interrupted is the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would be curious to see how other people have approached this. I'm sure that this topic has been analyzed from multiple different angles in film. It's just not something I've been exposed
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I know that there's a few. I don't think that any have specifically outright dealt with it as much as this. So there's a book called Thin that was, I believe, made into like a movie or a documentary that I read when I was smack dab in the midst of my anorexia. That also, I think, does not age or hold up well. I think it was more of a how-to guide than this movie was. It's brought up some in a few other things, but for the most part, Girl Interrupted is like the number one movie for women with mental illness being depicted. For the most part, it's a lot of men. So I think Heathers maybe touches on eating disorders a little bit.
Okay.
In
right.
memory.
All right. It's something I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of research, independent research on myself, and maybe educating myself on a bit more. So I realize it is a blind spot for me. So this movie only amplified that. It's like, oh boy, I am out of my depth.
Yeah. And I do think that I give Netflix some credit for making a movie that was enjoyable and had some funny jokes and had a quirky coming of age thing that dealt with this issue, because there's almost nothing out there that does deal with this issue. So I feel like putting anything out there is a worthwhile task. I just feel like they really missed the mark in making it too glossy.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily helpful for the conversation. But it is better to have something out there about disordered eating than having nothing out there.
It's true. It's true. At one clarification, Jody in the chat said that it was bought by Netflix, but not produced by them. They bought it after the fact. So it clearly seems that actually checks out. Seems very much like a passion project.
That's what they did with the OA. Which, don't get me started on the OA.
I have not watched it, but I'm a Brit Marling.
OA.
I'm a Brit Marling. I'm a fan. Just, Another Earth was revelatory for me. Okay. Do we have anything else?
I think we need to finally get some levity in here and knock on the void and see what happens.
It's time for a very awkward pivot to the Interstellar favorite.
Pop quiz, asshole. There was a time when I had the need to learn from you. Oh, what the hell do you know? Lose! I don't lose! I win! You got a lot to learn about sportsmanship.
Oh my, Pop Quiz Asshole is our very own Quizzo show where the host asks each of us 3 questions. If one of us gets it wrong, the other has a chance to steal, and if they get it wrong, well, that's not an issue this week because there's only 2 of us, so it's all skill. It's all skill, Whitney.
It is all skill, for better or for worse.
God knows what these questions are going to be. I kind of just hope, I don't know. I don't know what I'm hoping for.
I don't know. I don't know what we're in for either.
As always, points are not cumulative and only determine who wins the episode. As we discovered in The Reckoning, Whitney took season 3 as well as season 2 and season 1. So everything is exactly how it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
Just an agreement.
I really don't like the reputation or the light that this trivia thing has painted me in.
Hey,
because I am.
For like it or not, you are basically the audience's go-to at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I should not be anybody's voice of authority on anything because
I don't know.
I don't know what I ate for dinner 2 hours ago.
Look, we're putting together a Quizzo team. Who's first off the bench? You got it. You.
Yeah.
So there it is.
I'm a bad choice though. If
Apparently
I'm your
not.
first draft pick, that's bad.
I guess if you and me and Ev and Eric and Lindsay, if that is your bench, people are going for Whitney.
I guess so.
The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
The blind leading the blind, really, is what I feel like that is, but that's fine.
All right. So with that, I would like to I'll do that and knock on the void and turn it over to our Charles. He did
Charles Nolan.
Hello, everybody.
It's great to hear from
Hello,
you.
Charles.
Great to hear from you.
It's great to hear from you. It feels like it has been eons and seconds at the same time.
Well, that's
Right.
life in a void.
Yeah.
It is.
Some relativity, I believe. I don't know. Interstellar. I don't. I get it, but I don't.
Great.
I'm just gonna let that sit and just.
Well, let's just marinate in that. Charles, who's going first?
That's a great question. Let's roll a die.
Wait, what? Have we ever done this?
We
No.
have not.
What is the? Okay. Flip a
It's gonna be Whitney.
Alrighty.
All right, here we go.
All right. To start off, Whitney, due to winning the bet mentioned at the beginning of the movie, Ellen is owed a carton of what kind of cigarettes?
Oh no.
I know this one.
Is it Cool, Camels, or Cloves?
Camels.
That is correct.
On the board. On the board. All right.
Andrew,
Here we go.
where did Ellen's mom move with Olive?
Oh no.
Was it Phoenix, La Mesa, or Albuquerque?
Phoenix?
That is correct.
All right. That's it. That's all I needed.
Whitney,
Yes.
which store does Susan say she loves that they have in North Hollywood as opposed to the Grove's Cost Plus World Market? Was it Ethan Allen, Pier 1, or Home Goods?
I believe it was Pier 1.
That is correct.
Nailed it.
I thought it was funny because I vastly prefer Cost Plus World Market to Pier 1, but they don't have Cost Plus World Market in Pennsylvania, so I thought that was funny.
That checks out.
They have both in the void.
Lucky.
Very. Andrew. Which of the following is not mentioned as one of Luke's muses?
Okay.
Jonathan Gold, Raymond Chandler, or Thornton Wilder?
Thornton Wilder.
That is correct.
Yeah. I remember Jonathan Gold. It was a toss-up. It was a 50-50 shot for me.
You did a good job.
By the way, I hate to interrupt, but Charles Zoe says hello in the chat.
Hello, Zoe.
Zoe.
For the final two questions of regulation,
All right.
starting with Whitney. How many inpatients had Ellen been a part of before Threshold? 4, 5, or 6?
4.
That is correct.
Crushing. Crushing.
No one has gotten a question wrong yet. Andrew, don't break the streak.
Damn it.
How many millions of dollars did Netflix spend acquiring this movie?
I'm done.
Oh.
8, 12, or 18?
I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go 18.
That is incorrect.
Damn it.
I'm going to say 12.
That is incorrect.
Damn
It was only $8 million. Only $8 million, as if that's a small amount.
They were hungry for content, you know? It's one of those situations. I thought maybe there was a bidding war. I don't know. All right.
There's a couple of names in it. I get where you're
Yeah.
going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we do have 2 questions in a bonus round.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And since we are at the beginning of a new season, let's remind everyone of the bonus round rules. I will read out the question without posing it to any particular person. The players can buzz in at any time to give their answer. Let's hear what the buzzers sound like, starting with Whitney.
Me.
And Andrew.
Bzz.
Fantastic.
All right.
All right, bonus round question number 1. There was a double feature playing that one of Ellen's roommates goes to see. What movie were they showing with
Me.
Zombieland? Whitney.
Shaun of the Dead.
That is correct.
Nailed it. It's perfect. Two perfect films. One more perfect than the other, but
One more perfect than the other, but both great in their own.
absolutely.
I know nothing of either one.
Yeah, Keanu, of course. Yeah.
For the final question of Pop Quiz Asshole.
Oh,
What beer does Luke order when he and Ellen go out? Is it A. Tsingtao, B. Zhujiang, or C. Yanjing?
Me.
Whitney.
Tsingtao.
That is correct.
nailed it. Nailed it. Well done.
Well done, Whitney.
Don't call it a comeback.
I've been here the whole time.
That is how the song goes. As anyone listening could probably figure out, the winner for the first Pop Quiz Asshole of Season 4 is Whitney.
Called it.
Excellent!
There it is. Well done. Oh, I jam out to this song the whole time. I'm over here air guitaring. It's perfect.
Great.
It is very good. Well, that does bring us to the next segment, which is Pop Quiz Audience.
Yes.
2 things to tackle before we get to this week's questions, which are the answers to the questions from the last episode, and then the winners from last season.
Yeah.
We had 3 questions from the episode on The Bad Batch. Those 3 questions were, what are the last 2 words on the official warning outside of the border? The correct answer to that was good luck, and that was answered correctly by Zoe P. Way to go, Zoe. The other 2 questions went unanswered. They were, what's the name of the soda Jason Momoa drinks the first time we see him? And it is Jizzy Fizz.
I don't like it.
Is right.
I don't like it.
And what's the name of the food stand that sells noodles? It's Noodle Lady.
Simple to the point.
Simple.
I love it. It's good branding.
You get everything that's on the 10. It's a lady who gives you noodles. And that brings us to acknowledging the wonderful listeners and those who play along at home, sending us answers to Pop Quiz Audience. Our tally, in reverse order, Helen Moon got 1 question right. And then perennial favorites Zoe and Jody fought pretty hard. Jody got 5 and Zoe got 8 to win the season.
Oh my God. Here you go.
Excellent!
That's for y'all participating.
Crushing it, all of you.
Absolutely crushing it.
Do a lap. So good. So good.
So good. We have 2 questions for this week's Pop Quiz Audience. If you would like to play along at home, tweet to me at the Nolan, TheNowlin, or use the hashtag Pop Quiz Audience with your answers to get a shout out and accumulate points for the end of the season. Our 2 pop quiz audience questions are: what does the poster say that Ellen has made at the beginning of the movie? And what does Dr. Beckham's coffee mug say?
Oh, I definitely do not know that one.
I don't know either one of those. I forgot.
Gave me a chuckle.
Nice. All right. Okay.
I don't know the answer to the second one at all. Well, thank you, Charles.
Thank you so much. You two continue to be a shining light in my void.
Oh,
That means a lot. That means
More
a lot.
than that,
That's
so
really
do
great.
all of the listeners.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
the
hit us all in the
listeners
feels.
Are beautiful people.
They're the best. And so are you, Charles.
You're the best too.
If I could cry, I would.
It's not constructed that way, though.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
I
Let's
guess-
get into the plot points, I guess.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. It's your episode, so
Yeah, there's not really too much. I'm definitely going off the Wikipedia for this because a lot of it is montages and stuff. So, Ellen is a 20-year-old college dropout dealing with anorexia who returns home to the house of her stepmother and father after struggling through an inpatient program and failing to make any progress. With her absentee father unwilling to deal with her, Ellen's stepmother, Susan, sets her up with a specialist, Dr. William Beckham, who is Keanu Reeves, who insists that Ellen join his patient program. Ellen is reluctant to do so because she's now been through many, but her mind is changed by her younger sister. Ellen moves into the house with 6 other patients that include 5 young women and Luke, an upbeat ballet dancer who is near recovery from both his anorexia and a knee injury. Luke acts as a moral cheerleader for the other patients and takes a special interest in Ellen, eventually revealing that he is already a fan of Ellen's art. At a family therapy session with Beckham, Ellen's father fails to show up. It is revealed that until 18 months earlier, Ellen was living with her mother, who abandoned her to move to Phoenix, Arizona with a lesbian lover. I believe wife. I think that might be a little bit of Wikipedia modification.
sure.
And also that the artwork she posted on Tumblr was cited as an influence by a girl who later committed suicide. Ellen promises to try to do better, but instead continues to lose weight. Ellen makes headway, changing her name to Eli and bonding with the other members of the house. She is surprised, however, when Luke kisses her and admits he is starting to fall in love with her. She panics and quickly rejects him. Later on, she learns that Megan, another woman in the house who was pregnant, miscarried her baby, having resumed her purging after reaching the 12-week mark and believing it was safe. The event sends Eli into a tailspin, which is generous. I don't think that had much to do with it, but and she decides to run away. On her way out, Luke begs her to stay, telling her that he needs her as he realizes that his knee condition is permanent and he will never be able to properly dance again and needs something new to focus on. Eli leaves anyway. Near death, Eli goes to her mother's home in Phoenix. That night, her mother expresses guilt for the postpartum depression that she had after giving birth to Ellen and suggests that she might try feeding Eli with a bottle while rocking her to sleep to help solve both their issues. Eli finds the idea strange, but after her mother tells her that she accepts if she chooses death, she decides to go along with the idea and allows herself to be rocked while her mother feeds her rice milk from a bottle. After eating, Eli goes for a walk at night in the desert. Passing out, she hallucinates that she is in a tree where she kisses Luke, who reveals to her how sick she is. He gives her a piece of coal that is her courage, and she swallows it. Waking up from her dream, Eli decides to return home. She embraces her stepmother and her sister before continuing on to Beckham's patient program. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That was very short and to the point.
Yeah. So it's a lot. Even that's a nice summary, but that is not necessarily the experience.
Also, I'm 90% sure that a man wrote that summary, and I would have to do digging into like the edits and whatever to see who submitted it. But that does not have the perspective of a person who is either female or has had a disordered eating in what they considered the major plot points. But yeah, I mean, that's the ins and outs of it. We've talked a lot, I think, about the more... I really think this only covers a matter of days, this movie. And a lot of it is in a inpatient program in a house. So you're not going out. Not a lot is happening other than conversations and montages. And so it really does cover everything that happens in the movie, but there's also... It doesn't really explain everything that happens in the movie.
Yeah. There's a nuance that is.
But I do believe that I have explained everything that happens in the movie over the course of the last hour and 10 minutes. So
yes, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so it's weird to ask. But do you recommend this film?
I do not recommend this film. I do think there's some merit into seeing a world that you've never seen before if you've never experienced an eating disorder or someone who has an eating disorder. I think that, like, your exposure to it, Andrew, is probably a good thing. But I also think that for anyone who struggles in any way, even if you've never had disordered eating, if you've even had thoughts about, like, I should just skip lunch because I, don't like the way I look, this movie can exacerbate that. And I don't think that it will tell you how to do it. But I do think that it can help make those feelings worse because everyone in this is, like, pretty and young and white and a female. And, like, there's a not desirability, but there's definitely a triggering element to it. So I wouldn't recommend it just because I feel like anyone who has experienced any of those thoughts will probably hear those thoughts in their head again as they watch this movie. Even if they don't act on it, I think that I'm not enough. I need to change things about myself in order for people to like me more. Resonates with everybody on the planet to some extent. And that's why I don't recommend this, because I think regardless of whether or not you've ever acted on it, you've had those feelings too. And this could potentially make those feelings worse.
Yeah, I'm not going to recommend this film. It's hard to not recommend. It's a little hedgy. So I feel like I came away with a little bit more knowledge, but again, I don't know if it's the right, like if it's correct or what. So I would need to do more. But I feel like this ain't it. If I could, there's probably something out there that you could watch. If you didn't want to read a book or watch a documentary, if you wanted to watch a film, I'm sure there are things out there that explore this in more relevant ways. I'll say that. So it's ultimately not a recommend for me. However, I will say that I got to give it up because Keanu is still surprising us, right? Like the next movie, spoilers for what I'm about to say in 3 minutes, right, is John Wick 2, right? The movie before this was The Bad Batch. And then you have this right in the middle.
There's a lot happening.
Again, this is exactly why we struggled with who to pick next, because this range that we're experiencing right here is kind of it's crazy to behold.
It is crazy.
So, if you were a completionist, probably watch this. But ultimately, if you're just casual, I'm sure that if you're just casually following along, I think what Whitney said plus the plot, you marry those two things together, that's probably where you're going to be. All right. So, where is this going to fit on your Keanu ranking, Whitney?
So I have put it at number 41, which is below Street Kings. Sorry, everybody, that it's so low. I feel really unpopular with Street Kings being at 40.
You had your chance.
And above Flying, which I have at 42.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like it's going to go right above the Sleepy Spaghetti Movie, I Love You to Death for me at number 45. Okay. So pretty much right down in the same...
Yeah, same neighborhood. Same
general area. And I feel like I probably, at this, when the next reckoning, whenever that is, I feel like I didn't give The Watcher enough credit down here at 44. That's what I'm thinking. That should have moved up maybe 10 spots also. But, whatever.
We just did a reckoning. I feel like it's a little bit late to be.
The next one literally won't be until what? 20, many years from now.
Yeah,
so,
a while.
Damn it.
Now. We got a while.
We got to go decades here.
You have to deal with the consequences of your actions. You made your Watcher bed, and now you have to lie in it.
It's true. It's true. Okay. No recommends, ranked, all that's logged. Let's talk next week. As I said, I will be stepping us through John Wick Chapter 2. Holy shit. I'm thinking he's back. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, the incomparable Eric Hall will be joining us on that episode. He's the one who will be back. Because I believe you and him saw a very fancy version of John Wick. If I remember the story correctly, a very fancy
version of John Wick.
So we'll have to hear about that. Very fancy experience there. I assume you're looking forward to this, Whitney.
Yes.
When was the last time you watched John Wick Chapter 2?
That's a good question. It definitely, I've seen it since it was in theaters. But I feel like it was a while ago now. I think it was, maybe I watched it before 3 came out to hype myself up for 3. But I do think it's probably been at least a year.
Interesting. Yeah, I just got I got the whole set on Blu-ray, the trilogy thing. It was the nice pack that they released. And it was before the pandemic, so January maybe. So I watched all 3 in a row on Blu-ray in January. So
nice.
Yeah. But I am excited to revisit it. It's a film that is in that very rare class of I will watch this a million times. Yes. I cannot say that about many films.
Innumerable times.
Right. Does not matter. It is on. It is being watched. So very excited to talk about that.
Hype.
Yeah. I believe we will be... Hopefully, unfortunately, Zoe, I think we're streaming that one on Monday evening, if we can. But stay tuned; things may move and change. But for right now, let's think Monday for that one.
Yeah, I believe we're planning on doing it Monday, but we will keep in mind that some of you will not be able to do it if live streams if we do them on weeknights. So we will keep that in mind moving forward.
Absolutely. That brings us to the end. We did it. We got through. We did it. Whitney, if someone wanted to listen to you elsewhere, if they're like, you know what? She's so insightful. What else does she have to say? Where else does she have to say it? Where would they look?
At Historical Hotties is my podcast where we discuss different categories of people throughout history and talk about which people that fall into those categories are the sexiest. Our most recent episode was drummers that came out, so we talked about some of the sexiest drummers in history.
Yeah.
And coming up, we are just about to record, and I believe in a week release swimmers. So we're talking about the hottest swimmers in history. So yeah, that's. And then I have not been on Almost Better Than Silence recently because I've mostly been dealing with unemployment and et cetera. But I believe that I am going to record an Almost Better Than Silence and talk about video games this weekend. So keep an eye out for me there if you want to hear me talk about video games.
All right.
I haven't played anything, but...
but just the news in general.
Well, I'll talk about the EA press conference probably in the Sony press conference.
Nice.
Since, E3 didn't happen. I did watch all of the stuff on YouTube, so... I really want to play the video game that's the stray cat with a backpack on. Spoiler alert. I'm probably going to buy a PlayStation 5 specifically so I can be one of the first people to play the game where you're a stray cat wearing a backpack.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop. I was like, are we playing as the robots? Why is this cat here?
Nope, you're playing as the cat.
You play as Cat in Robot Post-Apocalypse. And I'm like, well, sold.
Whoever pitched that game deserves a raise because they really have their finger on the pulse of the video game buying public. Everyone I've talked to who has seen that trailer has been like, I really desperately want to play that game.
Right. We've had 5 generations of PlayStation to build up to the greatest graphical prowess of all time. You get to play as a cat with a backpack.
Great cat with a backpack.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I'm excited. I want to hear you talk about the cat in the backpack thing. So I'm going to tune in when you do. You can find me on the internet at Dark Driving. That's Twitter and Instagram. I have not posted much on Instagram because I'm just in my house and that's, doing the right thing. And I don't have, you can only take so many pictures of your house, I guess.
True facts.
So, I guess just follow me on Twitter. I have some cool stuff coming up, and then we will also be rolling out over time. I'm in the planning stages of the new site for our Kurt Russell thing, and just follow here, follow there. You'll be on board. It'll be great. It'll be great.
This is not for sure yet. Nothing settled, but I may be adopting a dog by about this time next week.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Follow my Instagram, Whitney Nelson, Nelsen, with no underscore. It's an underscore on Twitter, no underscore on Instagram, where I plan to be posting a lot of pictures of an adopted dog who's very handsome, but also has googly eyes.
11 out of 10 would pet for infinity.
Infinity. As I said on Twitter, it's definitely a dog that I would kill a lot of men for. So, fingers crossed, I will be successfully adopting this dog and posting Instagrams of it.
I love it. All right. I'll press this button like I always do. That kicks on. Chat, Whitney, thank you everybody for joining us. This is always great. Highlighted by week. In the words of Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Just a heads up.
Yeah.
At some point, I somehow knocked my audio interface from the ledge above me onto my lap and unplugged my headphones. So you may have to edit around that. I don't know if it was apparent on the live stream.
I didn't hear anything.
But it's a thing I do. I'm sitting completely stationary and knocked over my audio interface from above me somehow. So
hey, that's a gravity for you. Tricky.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I walked face first into the wall because I missed my bedroom door by about 2 feet? I walked into it face first so hard I snapped my glasses in half.
Oh my God.
And I was 100% sober. I was not tired. And I somehow missed by 2 feet the door I walk through a minimum of twice per day, every day. Hard enough to break my glasses in half. So it's I have a unique talent. I have a very special set of skills.